Identity, the quest for Israel's future by Emmanuel Shachar. Hello to you, Emmanuel.
Hello, hello.
You've been meeting in the Israeli Knesset a few days ago.
Yes.
And the issue of the Israeli refugees is all over as part of what is happening in between Kiev and Moscow. What is your perspective about it?
First of all, unfortunately, the present government is into bean counting and is not opening the gates to Ukrainian refugees as it should, is limiting the numbers, claiming that more than 5,000 would be a problem for Israel to deal with, which is of course ridiculous. We're more than 9 million, and the numbers incoming at this time are small, and tens of thousands can easily be accommodated. And it's very sad that we even try to make it sound as if we can feel good about it, because it certainly, we certainly forgot how the world dealt with Jews during the Shoah, during the Holocaust, and it's unfortunate that the present government doesn't act accordingly. And this is not only reflected in the dealing with Ukrainian refugees, but also in the citizenship law, which I had the opportunity to listen in on some of the negotiations which were going on in the Security and Foreign Affairs Committee in the Knesset.
While you were meeting Ram Ben Barak.
I was meeting Ram Ben Barak, the chairman of the committee, and I had the opportunity to listen in to the negotiations were going on regarding the reservations that the Re'em party, the Arab Re'em party, and Meretz party had against some parts of the citizenship law, and you listen to the conversation going on, and it's terrible. It's terrible. It's a racist, discriminatory law, as racist and discriminatory as it can get, against Palestinians, of course. Okay, and it's not even an attempt to mask it as a security issue. It's completely open and out a demographic issue. We're not going to let in family members of Palestinians who come from Palestine or from Palestinian territories. We're not going to let them in because we don't want many of them to be here, not because they are a danger. Okay, the danger is being dealt with in other ways, and it can be it's not an issue.
Because you are also a former member in the Israeli
Yes.
Mossad, so you know something about security also.
Yes,
and you're saying it's only demographic.
And they're not even masking it. Okay, they're saying it out loud, and when this law will be passed, everybody will be able to see how bad it is. Okay, and it will pass because the opposition will be supportive of the law. Being even more right-wing than some parts of the government, so this is a very, very unfortunate development. But we'll have to deal with it.
And when you're saying we'll have to deal with it, you mean that maybe when the war in between Putin and Zelensky, Russia and Biden and Ukraine will end, people are going to reflect about the next occupying forces in the region,
the world
that's Israel.
The world may well remember that we are running an occupation for 55 years. We're now legislating laws which are clearly discriminatory, in addition to laws which are already discriminatory, and I don't put very high hopes on the world, the international community, to put pressure on us. But it may happen, and but it's more important that we here in Israel look at what we're doing here.
But
okay?
people are saying, well, we're defending the Jewish state, the only Jewish state, so we don't want Ukrainians to be part of it, and we don't want, even if they're refugees, and we don't want Palestinians to live here as part of the family. We're keeping the only lonely Jewish state in this area.
We cannot do this at the same time as we include more and more non-Jews in our sovereign areas by including Palestinian areas, and we can't do this when we open up to the world and we want people to come to Israel to work in high tech, and we need workers from all over the world. One of the fallouts of the crisis in Ukraine is that thousands of workers in Ukraine who are working for Israeli high tech are now not continuing with their work for the time being. Okay, so we have to deal with it. So Israel is open to the world, and at the same time is closing down by legislating all kinds of limitations, which reflect very poorly on our moral situation.
And while saying that, let's talk about what we've been talking here for the last few weeks, few months, a bit about El Ahmar.
Khan el-Ahmar. Khan el-Ahmar, once again, Khan el-Ahmar is a Bedouin encampment in the Judean desert, which the government wants to move, and has finally received permission of the Supreme Court to move it, but pending a clear plan where to move it. And the government has until now not produced one, because it's not able to come to a determination where to put the settlement, where to put Khan el-Ahmar. And this is going on and on. We're in another 48 hours extension, and this is a reflection of the lack of planning of the Israeli government, which is simply unable to put a clear picture together what it intends to do in the territories, what it intends to do with settlements, these or those settlements. It doesn't make a difference. There is no plan. It's going from one day to the other, and this is a perfect setting for an explosion to come. If it's Khan el-Ahmar, if it's Sheikh Jarrah, if it's as a result of the individual terror acts which are increasing now. There have been in the last few days. There have been several individual terror acts. There have been extrajudicial killings by Israeli soldiers. This isn't going to go anywhere good. This has to be dealt with, and this government is not dealing with it.
So you practically are saying that the Jewish state can handle and manage all the variety of scenarios that are taking place right now?
The Jewish nation state cannot handle this as a Jewish nation state. The Jewish nation state cannot extend its sovereignty over more and more non-Jews and include them in its sovereignty, and at the same time try to pretend it's dealing in a fair and even way with everybody. It's not. The Jewish nation state will only deal preferentially with Jews, and that has an impact. It has a price, and the price will be higher and higher. In addition, of course, to the fact that the world and also world Jewry will not support this kind of activities.
Do you think that the kind of a solution that many decades ago was raised, that enabling Muslim soldiers, Israeli Muslim people that are living here, to be part of the IDF is a kind of a solution that is reasonable?
Yosef Agassi, Professor Yosef Agassi, wrote an article on this, and this is of course what a normal country should do. A normal country should include everybody in the duties to serve it, and this is what an Israeli nation state would actually do. A Jewish nation state apparently cannot do that. So the attempt to draft Muslims was already performed in the 1950s, and at that time very many of the Israeli Arabs wanted to join, and then the Israeli army decided no, rather not, and that's why we ended up basically with the Jewish army more than anything else. I mean, I know there are Druze also serving, and there are a few Muslims here and there. The Bedouins are, but over and all, we are a divided country in that respect. Okay, there are the Jews and there are the non-Jews, and as long as the Jewish nation state prefers the Jews, we're going to have a problem, and we're not getting anywhere.
And when you're talking about the Jews, even within the Jews, there are the Jewish
the
religious
Haredim,
Orthodox
the same problem is with regard to the Haredi population. The Haredi population is basically doesn't accept the sovereignty of the Jewish state because it's not the same, and therefore the state has to be an Israeli nation state, not a Jewish nation state. A Jewish nation state will never be good enough for the Haredim, and they are actively undermining Israel's sovereignty.
For example,
they are preventing public transport in Jerusalem. They are preventing on Shabbat. Not only on Shabbat, they're preventing it. The public transport in Jerusalem doesn't run on Shabbat, but they're preventing it in general because they for reasons which are with them. and they also insist on their own control over certain communication systems, and so they are trying to not live within the sovereignty of the State of Israel.
So let's talk a bit about a summary sentence from your perspective about the Jewish state.
The Jewish nation state cannot fulfill it cannot fulfill its duties as a state as long as it's a Jewish nation state. It has to deal with the fact that there are many non-Jews and its sovereignty as a civil state, as an Israeli nation state. And if it doesn't make that change pretty quickly, we're going to be in real deep trouble.
And the kind of solution that the federation movement enables
Yes,
is talking about...
the federation is talking about the civil Israeli civil state, where everybody, in addition to his citizenship as an Israeli, has also his ethnic or religious allegiance and nationality. So it would be a multinational state or a pluralistic state, but that's the only way we can handle this.
Emmanuel Shachar, people that want to be part of the movement, of the federation, that want to be reading, coming to lectures, to meeting.
Facebook
To look for
to Federation Movement, or Identity: The Quest for Israel's Future.
Or Emmanuel Shachar.
Or Emmanuel Shachar, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.